I threw myself out there, so sorry. I do realise I'm talking to myself, you know, because I'm here in an empty room and everything, you know, but... what have I been going for here? Oh, goodness me, 37 minutes, so we're in the second file now. So, hi, my name is Paul Murphy, and thank you for coming across 37 minutes. Okay, so I started writing a song earlier on this morning, and because I can't write as fast as I used to, my hand there, that's how much I've shrunk. I was losing words because the words were coming fast and I could get them down. So I thought, well, I'll set a camera up. If I feel that I'm not going to make it to the end of the line, and the next line I might lose, I would read it into the camera, so I would have it there. And then I thought I would set it up so if I'm going to video myself, I'm not that narcissistic. I will have my children in the background to remind me that life is wonderful. And let me pass that information on to you. Okay, the worst day you will ever have is the one you don't see, because you never made it to that day. Because life is not set in stone. 30 seconds from now, I don't know, Taylor Swift could knock on the door and say, I want to sing some of your songs. Maybe her car's broken down. Do you know, I wouldn't know what Taylor Swift looked like if she walked in the door. And do any of her songs, what a terrible thing to say. Man, do I feel out of touch with everything, you know? There comes a cut-off point in life where you just, I'm sure everyone gets it, but as a musician, you know, I was always looking at people pass stuff on. And well, I was too busy doing my own stuff. I'm going to lose the last line here through talking to the camera that I set up so that I wouldn't lose any of the words. I'm bouncing it around in the back of my head while I'm talking here. You know, so you reach a cut-off point and you don't want anything new going into the pot at that point. You kind of, okay, I know what meal I like, and I don't want anyone adding any extra ingredients to the recipe. And you can lose out that way. But it's a fair thing to do, you know, because you can go back in time and find new stuff as well. I'll put this down on record now, but because it's in front of me, sellotaped to the chair there from the last time I recorded. But recently, when did I write that? 2 days ago, 3 days ago now, I wrote a song called "The Evil That You Do," and that entire song, I mean, that was 9 pages worth of lyrics there. And it's a very dark song, but that entire song came to me. I heard a Bob Dylan outtake. I'm not entirely sure what the song is called, but there was a line in it that went by the grave of some child who never laughed or smiled. And I heard those lines, and this thing just came to me. It opened up something. I grabbed pen, paper. It came as 5 verses. And the next morning, and I recorded those. The next morning, there was another 2. And then that afternoon, another 2 verses came to me. So, you know, you can go backwards and find fresh things as well as going forwards and finding fresh things. I started this video, so I'll keep going now, but I can't believe it took me 37 minutes to write 2 pages of lyrics. Just writing so slow, you know. sometimes when I get a breathing space, I actually change a line as well. So I can't remember if this was a file when I started it, but anyway, so verse 16 goes, I'm doing little pit stops. Everything I own, someone said, that's not yours. When you win, you find sometimes they've adjusted the scores. The silence is loudest, the aloner you are. Those days I learnt, a kiss leaves a scar. I can't even talk properly because it's blasted disease. The Murphy Men, writing away. Did I know you were studying concentration, my darling boy? Hey, they're beautiful. What's going on in here then? What are the boys doing? Looks like Dylan's doing his homework. Your paintings in the background there, I guess, Dylan. Oh, these here. That is a ball. Remember this? We got this from your... It was your birthday at the soccer club with the inflatables and everything. It was like £120 for an hour and a half, and they give you a goodie bag, and the goodie bag was a typewritten birthday card and this plastic drinks bottle. But you know, but it's an interesting thing how we value things as adults and how we do this stuff. It's a story I've told many times. I made it do it again. There's a lie in there. So, no. No. Yeah. So, when my son was about 1 year old, I bought him, oh mate, I wish I'd kept those photos. If I'd known what was going to happen to those photographs of you, I would, oh, goodness me, calm it down, save it for the song. I was just talking about the evil that you do as well. I think another verse might come on in a minute. Songs have really been pouring out to me lately. This is the 12th song in a week. That was one of the things I was going to do today, actually. I was going to, if you go back to video 1 of this, I was going to have a shower, put a guitar on, and then, because when I used to do in the old days, when I had X number of songs, you know, I would then just, well, I had a recording studio back then, so I'd go upstairs to my recording studio and I'd make an album. And whenever people say, well, you make an album, but you know, the albums in those days were different. So they were different when, you know, from the 50s through to the 70s, 80s. They gradually rose in importance and everything. And then recordable CDs came along. Nowadays there are no record companies, you know, there are no more record companies anymore. There may be one, but I mean it's basically, you know, there's just a pension fund now, and really, you know, they're just buying up everyone's rights to make adverts for years to come. And here the aircraft going past. But never mind going into a recording studio and paying a fortune for a 4-track recording that you bounce down on demo tapes and buy cassettes and you send it off to record companies, you know. I know you're very busy, but this is the greatest song you've ever heard in your life, kind of thing, you know. It just goes into a cupboard and stuff, you know. Because everyone wanted the dream of stardom. And most people did. And we all had that at some point, you know, how far can this go? But as I'm detailing in this song here, I write song, sing song, get paid, get laid. It was a good life, you know. Get out of town, next town. Because, you know, you're young and you're indestructible and, you know, indefatigable and everything. I mean, I would still live that life now, really, if I wasn't dying of this blasted disease, you know. But around in the 90s, I got a, it's still down here and you can't see it, but it doesn't work anymore. But I got one of the first Philips CD, recordable CD units, and I already had a 4-track, all this setup. You can't see what I'm talking about, but tripods, microphone stands. Can you see any guitars behind me? I had a music room upstairs. So I would just write songs because I was so blasted prolific, and record them, and then I'd bounce them down, press up CDs, and I'd do a gig and I'd have a CD, 70 minutes. And no one in Somerset, and he's down here in rural Somerset, where if you came here from New York, you'd have to turn your watch back 200 years from the international date line. You know, so no one else was selling CDs and stuff, and I was making good money, putting other people's demo tapes down on the CDs for them and stuff, and they would still send them off to record companies. So I was quite happy to have a regular income coming in and that kind of stuff. And by that point, what was I? I was about 150 years old in 1996, so it was, you know, you just want to kind of put your feet up. Because around that time there weren't too many people putting their feet up for me, you know. Where was I going with this? I don't know what I was talking about. Yeah, so anyway, that's what I was going to say, yeah, so. And this would be what I would kind of do. I'd sit down and I'd write a week's worth of songs and have the music to, and then I'd go upstairs and record them, do the overdubs, and then the next set of gigs I'd be introducing 1 or 2 or 3 songs from that into whatever I was doing. It wasn't easy. Sometimes I only had 4 songs to sing. So that's what I was going to do this morning, and I'm kind of going to do that. I'll have a shower, spruce myself up, get some makeup on so I don't look too bad, and that. I might still do that, but this song came along and got in the way. Anyway, I was saying about my son Dylan. When he was about a year old, I bought him a copy of David Bowie's Aladdin Sane album, which was the first album I ever bought. I actually bought myself. I don't think it was the first album I ever had, although it might well have been, because, you know, it was all singles in those days, you know. For young people and stuff, adults had the LPs they would get from their music club. Get one, you know, buy 5 LPs or cassettes for the price of 1, and then buy 1 a day for the rest of your life or something or another. And but I was how old was I in 1973? I was 12 years old, and in the Easter holidays, my wonderful family, they got me a job because they didn't earn enough to to cover their drink and cigarette necessities. No food in the house, but there was always bottles. Take those empty bottles down to the off license, and get the money back on them. I was like 10 and 11, you know. They give you a carrier bag laden down with all these empty blasted beer bottles and stuff, and wine bottles, and but the off license, I should measure it really. Go on Google now. I don't know how far it was from Henson Park to the nearest pub, which was the Furnham Inn, but it had to be 2 miles, I guess, you know. I don't think there were any shortcuts. You had to go past the gasworks. Oh God, the smell of tarmac. And the chicken from the meat factory, all you could smell was this putrid smell. And people say, why did you become a vegetarian? You live next to a meat factory and smell what they're burning there. And just, oh God. And you have to take all these empty beer bottles back, clanking away, you know. It was about 2 feet high, you know, to the off license. And get the money for them, you know, because you get deposit back on the empty bottles and stuff, you know. Early form of recycling, I guess. If they paid you now, how would they, you know, how much money would they, how much would the environment be a bit safer? I remember one night, the SOBs, it was a Sunday, goodness me, what is creeping through the ethers of my memories? It was a Sunday. Sundays was always, I used to hate the weekends. The weekdays weren't too bad, you know. You'd have to come home from school and get the fire lit in the winter or stuff, you know. and I'd just get changed, and you try and be out when they came home, you know. Hi, Gary Evans. You still alive? 45 years on. And, I mean, where we lived was not a good neighborhood, so you had to be careful where you went to there, you know. And Gary was one of the good guys. Probably the only good guy on a whole estate of... We were all lumped together. It was a new estate, you know, but they built it, and I mean, you're talking not too much after the war, you know, so you're talking about hardships, but... and there was a big Irish contingency in charge, and a lot of us were there. You know, we were just, these days, I guess you would call it ethnic cleansing, you know. We would just put somewhere, you know, on this little strip, you know, and it would be like, you know, if you want to foul up your own front room, that's entirely up to you. There you go, you dross people there, like, you know. And it's a bit feral, like, you know, all the estates had their own gangs, and they'd go to war on each other, you know, the Stringfellow gang, and everything. Me and Gary, we tried to stay out of it as much as possible. We had other interests, you know, art, comic books was a big thing back then. But, I mean, all the families had domestic abuse. Now that I think of it, I don't think I've ever thought of it. I better be careful what I say here, but I don't think of any of the families where there wasn't. I mean, domestic violence was just, it was just on. Well, they'd be laughing about it in you know, in sitcoms and everything, like, you know. I mean, I know it still goes on now and everything, but these days, at least it is frowned upon. In those days, no one thought it was wrong, you know. Oh, I was lippy, and my old man gave me a right hand over the weekend, you know. Well, Andy Cap, you remember Andy Cap, you know? That was the paper that came to our house. And the cartoons, I used to read the cartoons, and Garth, drawn by the great Frank Bellamy. And Andy Cap was in there. And something drawn by Bill Tidy as well. I can't remember what it was. Never found it particularly funny. Nothing against Bill Tidy. But Andy Cap, you know, they'd have this little thing where it's a little ball of smoke and everything where they're fighting each other. And, you know, that would be the humorous cartoon of the day. How humorous. What earth was I going on about? Oh yeah, anyway, so I got this job cleaning up in a shirt factory. Well, actually I was telling you about this Sunday, wasn't I? Who cares? Well, I'll say it in any case. First time this has crossed my memory in half a century. More than half a century. Sounds a lot, doesn't it? 50 years doesn't sound too long. We say half a century. I think about my children now. Everyone says to me, well, you're dying so young. But will today's generation get to live to be as old as I am at 62? You know, I mean, we're here in the middle of winter, and in the last week we've had a gale, -3 degrees temperatures, and today, brilliant sunshine. The only reason I'm wearing a jumper is because I haven't got the arm strength to lift it off. Although it's got darker now. Yeah, so they made me march down on a Sunday afternoon to... We used to have vans come around in those days, little mobile shops that would come around. And the things that... I mean, it wasn't bad stuff. The fish wagon used to come around, and they used to go, fish, fish. You'd hear the guy yelling, fish, from like miles away and stuff. And you could smell it as well. And if you were really lucky, you know, you could get fresh fish, you know. Really lucky. I'm salivating like one of Pavlov's dogs here, aren't they? Because all we had in those days was Spam. Oh, God, do they still make that? This processed meat, you know. And, you know, they'd take living animals, cows and pigs and stuff, you know, and they carve off what they could. And, you know, what was left, they just shove in a blender, I guess, and compress it down, so it made this stuff. I used to eat it, of course, you know. I mean, I was still 6 years off being a vegetarian at that point. I remember opening the can and I cut it, and it would be this about that shape, I guess, and I would cut it through. But it tasted so vile. There'd be a jar of pickle, and I'd get the jar of pickle and I'd put a teaspoon in. And I would just literally, so I have a piece of spam, the luncheon meat they call it. Luncheon, it makes it sound kind of posh, doesn't it? And I'd spoon it up so it was just literally covered in pickle about that deep. You know, the pickle was deeper than that. I could taste was a pickle. I'm salivating now for the pickle. Poor pigs and cows and everything went in there. I remember getting belt whipped once because I was so hungry that I found a tin of spam at the back of the larder, and I'd eaten it, and then they came home from work and they were hunting around later that night. Oh, have you seen, there was a tin of spam in the larder, where's it gone? Do you know anything about it? No, I don't know anything about it, Mum. No, I don't know. You sure? Wow. Of course, how dumb was I? Well, how dumb was I? You know, I just wanted to eat something, you know. And but you know, I'd eaten it, and I'd just thrown the tin in the dustbin outside, you know. So they went out, looked in the bin, saw that. Yeah, lying there, thwack, thwack, thwack. Man, that was a bad one. That was. God, they were repulsive, the both of them. And yet one of them outlived me by 12 years. Very little justice in the world. So this Sunday they made me take these empty bottles down, and you get 6p a bottle or 3p a bottle if it's a smaller bottle. Came back and give them the money. And then they gave me the money back and they said, go down the Fernham and get us 20 number 6 or 10 numbers, might have been 10 number 6, which was cigarettes, the cheapest of the cheapy cigarettes. So I had to schlep all the way back down again and buy cigarettes. But there was no, I mean, you know, I don't know how old you've got to be to buy cigarettes this day and age. 16, 18. It's too young, whatever it is, if you're 50. But in those days, you'd go down there and they'd sell you anything, you know. So, you know, yeah, and so I did handle them out. 10 number 6, please. 11, 12 years old. Are they for you? No, they're for me, Mum. All right. Oh, they care loads of money. It probably still goes on today. So, I bought Dylan and David Bowie's. So I worked with this shirt factory and I got my 10 shillings and I bought David Bowie. I had an insane album with it when it came out. And everyone says, oh, you're inspired by Bob Dylan, you were so. I didn't know anything about Bob Dylan. I'd written 100 songs before I knew who Bob Dylan was, really. All I knew about Bob Dylan until 1982. I knew him from the song The Mighty Quinn, but not his version, the Man for Man version, which was superb. I remember hearing the Bob Dylan version of it in about 1990. I think, what garbage is this? Because he only recorded a demo, you know. The Byrds, Mr. Tambourine Man. I knew that Bob Dylan had written Mr. Tambourine Man by the Byrds, but I hadn't heard his version of it. They were polar opposites the first time I heard The Mighty Quinn by Bob Dylan. I thought, what the heck? And the first time I heard Bob Dylan's version of Mr. Tambourine Man, I thought, what is this? You know, this is amazing, you know. The grandeur and the majesty and the scope and the melody line. Everyone talks about Bob Dylan's words, but his melody lines, if I take anything from him, would be the melody lines. But of course, a lot of them aren't his own melody lines. Old folk songs and Alan Lomax material. But you only find that out as you go excavating, kind of thing, you know. I'll give this one away for free. I mean, for 50 years, 60 years maybe, Bob Dylan has been asked about Girl from the North Country. No, actually, I'll come back to this at a different date. Or shall I just give you a clue and go look for it? I'll tell you where Bob Dylan, and everyone says, you wrote this about Echo Hellstrom. And I think he said, the one time he was asked direct, I think he laughed and he said, well, Echo's a North Country girl, that's for sure. Bob Dylan didn't write Girl from the North Country about Echo Hellstrom, world exclusive. Bob Dylan. Well, go to IMDb there. The film Woman of the North Country. And that's where Bob Dylan was inspired. I guess he had a crush on the lady there. And what makes me say this with such certainty, because that wasn't the end of it. The lady was also a singer and had a pop hit, Teenage Prayer, at that time. And of course in the 1967 Basement Tape sessions, that's probably only the bootleggers know, although it's probably one Bob Dylan was singing I'm Your Teenage Prayer there, so that's where it came from. Anyway, I bought David Bowie's Aladdin Sane. When Dylan was 1 year old, my son Dylan, I bought him a copy of David Bowie's Aladdin Sane album, because I wanted him, that to be his first album, the same way it was mine. And then just when he's around about this age, so I collect Japanese CDs, and I had the Japanese SHM CD audiophile sound quality version of Aladdin Sane by David Bowie, and a wonderful thing it is as well. And this is my replacement, which tells you how the story's going to end, which has never been opened in the decade that I've owned it. And it's lovely, the packaging is superb, and the sound quality is amazing. Might be empty packet for all I know. And I came in one day, and they're on the shelf there, and it was just on the floor here, and the cellophane was over there, and the fan club insert that comes with it, and the memorabilia and the lyric sheet was there, scrumpled up and everything. Like, what did it mean? You know, but the first thing out your mouth is, you sort of look down, you go, Dylan, do you know how much that cost? And then I realised, of course he doesn't, because he's 3 years old. All he sees is the picture on the cover, and something goes, oh, I remember that, yeah, the old man gave me that. Doesn't occur to him that, you know, this is my version of it, and his is upstairs in his bedroom. So I've got some cellophane on, what's in there? So he opens it up, because why not? It's like opening a present and stuff. And I realised then that value doesn't have much worth, but love does. How am I doing for time on this file here? I might have to stop soon. I'm on 1 hour and 66 minutes. Okay, so shall I do another verse? I'm going to have to stop soon because let's just say I have an urgent need. This has been a good distraction for me, actually, because this song is very deep. Very deep. Deeper than the darkest ocean of your soul. If you think the Mariana Trench is deep, you go walking through your memories, then you'll find what deep really means. very annoyed I put an apostrophe in choirs. Right, okay, well, I've been Paul Murphy, and this is the second file on this, and it's just about to end because I only record for 30-something minutes at a time, but thank you so much for sitting watching me write a song, and in this particular one, regaling someone. Dylan and Emily, my beautiful, wonderful children. If you ever do get to see this, and I hope you will at some point, and because, oh goodness me, you're drawing what I'm so sorry. A lot of this footage I've never seen before, guys. Oh, Emily, I remember those jammies. You used to chew the collars like there was no tomorrow, probably from the teeth and thing. Hey, they're precious. Superb artwork. What's this? Is this the froggy cushion? What are you showing me there, Emily? There's no sound on these videos, unfortunately. I sent you the master discs. These are transfers. And I sent you the master discs. You never got them. And this is all that exists. You know. Anyway. That looks like early on a weekend morning or a holiday morning to me. Amazing artwork, guys, that you've constructed. Hello there, Mr. Dill. As ever, just the three of us. Oh, I've just got a singles box set number 1. Rocky Horror Picture Show. Leonard Cohen complete albums. That's right, magnets. You gonna make Daddy a nice picture? No, Daddy's not full of iron fillings. You can't stick. Oh. Innovative and talented, you see. Ooh, look at it. Most handsome boy and most beautiful girl in the world, and that has not changed. Move over Liechtenstein. Ray Liechtenstein, not the country. Oh, looks like Teletubbies. Sylvanians. Okay, well, Dylan, that's the electric guitar I bought you for your 4th birthday. Emily, this is your big kitchen play area. Oh, Dylan, you're so helpful there. Oh, look at the two of you. Best brother and sister ever. I remember now, I bought you this, and it made 4 different animals, I think. Or maybe 6. How many sides are on a cube? So it looks like you can make the alligator. My little bundle of energy, my little bundle of delight. Oh, a little brief bit of Daddy's arm there in the background and Daddy's leg. I can't look at this anymore, it's going to break.